Welcome back to AKTV, and we are here at Istanbul Blockchain Week with Haqq Network. So hello everyone. Why don't you introduce yourselves to us?
Hello, I'm Andrey. I'm CTO and co-founder of Islamic Coin and Haqq.
I'm Mohammed. I am also co-founder and executive board member for Islamic Coin and Haqq Network.
Hi, my name is Zain. I'm the CMO at Haqq Network and Islamic Coin.
Great to meet you all. How are you liking the event so far?
I like the event. Everyone is like on the building vibe. We already got some cool connections to expand our partnership network. We kind of met our soulmates here.
Great. So yeah, it's an amazing event actually. I can say the quality of attendees is very important. I mean, many events can create crowd, but they cannot create quality. So I saw quality here is good for connecting, is good for spreading the awareness, is also very good to see the other players in the Web3, what they are doing and learn from the experts.
Yeah, I think one thing, echoing what everyone else has said, is that the fact that whenever we speak here at Istanbul Blockchain Week, we've talked about Sharia-Compliance and Islamic finance. People are already familiar with these terminologies, and there is already a growing community here that support Haqq Network, but also bring their ideas forward. And one thing which we've really enjoyed is the fact that we've been able to meet with institutional partners here to expand our work, but more importantly as well, look at other Web3 players that are also brought into this vision so we can support them and further nurture them in their vision and their missions as well.
That's wonderful to hear. So before we dive into the Sharia compliance, can you please talk about Haqq Network?
Haqq Network is a proof of stake network, EVM compatible, open to every builder, but most importantly to any person in the world who believes not just in in Islamic finance, but in ethical finance, in building for real people, not just crypto folks. You want something?
Yeah, I just want to highlight the ethics and values that's connected with Haqq Network and Islamic Coin. So what we are building is not just a technology project and another blockchain that's thrown in the market and more cryptocurrency where people are getting more and more and more, and they don't know what they do with thousands of cryptocurrencies. No, we focus on ethics and values, and that's very important. And the ethics and values we focus on are connected to a successful financial school that's there since more than 1,400 years. And it's very important that we mention here there is a huge community, more than 2 billion following these ethics and values and this successful financial school. There is an amazing market cap of cumulatively Islamic finance and halal products, which is more than $7 trillion. And this community is still underserved in the Web3 and blockchain. So we are there with the purpose to serve the community and add value.
Yeah, I guess also beyond that as well is to look at the fact that ethics first doesn't necessarily mean that non-Muslim builders or users can't access it. If anything, on the contrary, a lot of non-Muslim projects are also very interested in how they can utilize this ethics first blockchain. So again, like echoing what Brother Mohammed had also said, I think it's quite important that when we look at sustainability of projects, it's not just a blockchain that when we sit down and discuss from the CMO, CTO and the founders and the executive board a one-year plan. We're looking at how does this become part and parcel not only of the Muslim community but the very social fabrics of future societies and communities across the world.
That's very good to hear about the ethics and values that Haqq Network is focusing on. So let's dive deeper into preaching Sharia-compliant Web3 is quite a bold move for Haqq Network. So how do you navigate such a very delicate topic within our industry and beyond?
Okay, so I think I will agree with you and not agree in one statement. Is a bold jump. It is Yes, but it is not a bold jump when we look at it from technology point of view. We have tools today that make this process is very easy. You know, Sharia finance talk about ethics, values, transparency, sustainability, putting the community first, and having all the information accessible and governance by the community. Blockchain is the best tool to do this, and that's why we say technology today make this easier for us to go, easier to monitor, easier to create solutions, to create smart contracts that addresses all the Muslim lifestyle. And here we don't want to focus only on finance. You know, Sharia compliance, it access everything that's happening in the Muslim world and in the non-Muslim world that following the Sharia ethics and values. We talk about finance, we talk about social media, we talk about education, we talk about gaming, many other aspects that we are creating a 360 ecosystem in the Web3 to move this lifestyle from centralized world to decentralized world, because it's best matched to be served in a better way. So that's why we say having a Sharia compliance is not something really difficult with all the technology that we have today. Just we need to use it the right way, and that's what we are doing. That's why we're getting amazing adoption and community. And there is a smart tool, because always there is a catch here. People say, you control the projects that come to the Haqq network. You are a centralized project, and I would love to say we are not centralized projects. You are welcome to put your project on Haqq. Nobody will stop you. But there is a smart tool to whitelist you as a Sharia compliant project. You can go for it, you can choose not to go for it. But today, you want to capture the community interest, you want to get their trust, you need to go for that one to get more adoption. Andrey developed an amazing tool to help filtering that with keeping the project totally decentralized. He might help and explain about it.
Yeah, this tool is called Sharia Oracle. It's in development right now. It will be available on testnet in quarter 4 this year, in mainnet in quarter 1 next year. This tool, from user perspective, it makes them sure that whatever they interact with on the Haqq network is Sharia compliant. But most importantly, from builder's perspective, it's a framework or a process for obtaining digital certificate of Sharia compliance. It's governed by both community of Islamic coin stakers and our Sharia board. It has 2 levels of approval. First, community approval, second, Sharia approval. Any smart contract developer can deploy any smart contract on Haqq network. Then they apply for community approval through governance. Community approves or rejects it, and then after that, they submit to Sharia approval, which leads these projects to thorough audit by our Sharia board, which provides feedback, consults how to make this project actually Sharia compliant. And if everything goes well, then smart contract gets soul bond digital certificate of Sharia compliance.
That's a very interesting take, and also a very holistic approach from Haqq Network. So apart from being IBW's title sponsor for this year, you also dedicated a $50,000 bounty for the IBW Hackathon, where participants will work on developing Sharia compliant and ethical finance DeFi platforms. So what are you hoping to see that come out of this hackathon, and how does it help you promote your mission?
Thank you for this question. Yes, that's the actually main reason why I chose to attend personally here. Well, we don't know how Sharia compliant DeFi ecosystem will look like. Neither did Vitalik Buterin knew how DeFi ecosystem will look like on Ethereum when he started it. He did not invent like flash loans and whatever is popular right now. It's community-driven things. And whenever we see any other layer 1 or layer 2 comes up, usually the ecosystem is just copycat of Ethereum, which is not bad. It's just understandable because it's also network with smart contracts without any boundaries. we introduce these Sharia compliance boundaries, which restrict products such as collateralized lending or casinos, whatever. So by making hackathons, we expect community to come up with brand new ideas of brand new DeFi. So hopefully these projects will become, and their tokens will become blue chips on Haqq network. It's actually our first hackathon.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for trusting us for your first hackathon ever. So let's talk about oracles. So Haqq uses an oracle that helps to find and assess Sharia-compliant projects. Do you think in the future being Sharia-compliant project will be a must in Web3? And are Muslims in crypto looking to interact with Islamic projects only? What do you think about that?
I don't believe that it will be must-have in Web3, but what I really believe is that digital Sharia compliance certificate will become a quality mark. As we see in halal food. In London, I may be mistaken with numbers, but roughly it's the consumption of halal food is roughly 2 or 3 times more than Muslims can eat. So the end game is, in my opinion, end game is if project is Sharia compliant, then its tokenomics is sustainable. The idea and goals are ethical, and thanks to community approval, it's not just projects which has been approved by authority which is Sharia compliant, but it's endorsed by a lot of people who voted for it during community approval phase.
Yeah. So I've been in DeFi in the Web3 space for the past 3 years in different capacities, and I guess I've met a lot of Muslim builders as well along the way, and Muslim users, because I'm Muslim myself. I've grown up in a Muslim family. I grew up in the UK and had access to different environments. My parents are from South Asia, for example. And one of the key things which people in the Muslim community are always very scared, because they don't want to do something which is contradictory to our faith and principles, because we don't want to be seen endorsing somewhere where it's not only religiously wrong but morally wrong. If a network or a protocol promotes greed and it promotes the exploitation of another individual, i.e. it supports things like gambling or casinos, etc., but even on simple things like one of the biggest protocols which has a ghost as its icon, Aave, it's not just a scary concept for Muslims, it's also, a lot of people would argue, it's contradictory to our faith. And so there is a huge, I'd say, gap, which why I was very attracted to also join the team and be part of building this network out and advocating for it in the community, is that that gap is being filled, and that gap is something which resonates across the world. It's not just limited to one environment. And I think that we have to be honest, why did Sharia finance or Sharia ethical or Islamic finance exist? Why did mainstream banks adopt it? Because they saw a huge opportunity, but at the same time they knew, because that opportunity wasn't just bound by profit, it was bound by faith itself. The guidelines necessitate that we interact with compliant financial instruments which are also resonant with our faith, which promote community centricity and consciousness within society. Islam doesn't say business is bad or profit is bad. It actually says, no, do it in a way which is sustainable so everyone can grow collectively and consciously. So these are the fundamentals which I think Muslims themselves, and another statistic coming out of London, seeing as my dear friend Andrey mentioned about halal consumption, is that the Muslim community, according to the UK government, is the most charitable community in the UK populace. They give the most charity. So not only that, we have the Islamic taxation system, which is also mandated for us. Brother Mohammed has expanded upon this in his talks today as well, how that blockchain can actually open up this opportunity to automate and allow for ease of access for Muslims, not only to operate within DeFi or within the Web3 space with ease, but actually propel them further in their faith as well.
Yeah, thank you, Zain. And I would love just to put one sentence here that when we say in Web3, is it a must to be Sharia compliant or not a must? The question here is always about the community. I mean, what is always a must to do for you might be a good to do for me. And what is good to do for me might be bad to do for someone else. So when we look at the Sharia compliance, you talk about 2 billion community and beyond, the non-Muslims who are following this. So for the non-Muslim people, it is good to have. It's not a must for them to be a Sharia compliant. For Muslims and Muslims who follows the Sharia ethics and values, it's a must to have a Sharia compliant Web3 or any project they will interact with. That's why Brother Zain was mentioned. I mean that we don't want the people to think a lot, go to a place and, oh, is it Sharia compliant? Is it halal? Is it haram? Why don't we create a pool for them, an environment where they have everything Sharia compliant and they just don't need to be hesitated or always in gray area. And that's why what we do in our ecosystem, they can come and say, as Andrey explained the Sharia Oracle, if it is already in the Sharia Oracle whitelist, then don't think a lot about it. Already the scholars did their job, the community did their job, so they furnish the way for you to go forward.
That's a very eye-opening statement, and thank you so much for clarifying that. And it's very informative for our viewers right now. So for my next question, your native coin is Islamic coin, correct? So what is the vision for this token and what utility does it serve?
So as we just discussed, we're not just building a coin. We have a Haqq network, and the coin is the native coin of the Haqq, and we're talking about ecosystem. There are many components here. Look at the technology part. This is one of it, where a lot of people, and that's why we spoke about the hackathon. We are incentivizing the people to come and build the dApps there. And then look at the Sharia component. Look at the coin, where 10% of every minted coin goes to Evergreen DAO. This is the first Islamic crypto endowment in the world. And look at this simple calculation when we look at the future and the vision where we want to reach. I mean, yes, we want to bring first the Muslim lifestyle to the Web3, to the blockchain, because it is the best matching tools at the moment. And look at simple calculation. Today, with 2 to 3% adoption within the Muslim community for Islamic coin and Haqq, we're going to be the coin number 1 in the world. And look at this. If we are there, the market cap will be more than $700 billion. 10% out of it goes to the Evergreen DAO. That's already more than $70 billion. If we talk about 5% adoption, then it is even more and more. And there is a purpose there to serve the community. So this 10% goes back to fund the community projects, to help with charity, to support the humanity all over the world. So there is a purpose there. In addition to that, there are a clear calculations and math behind it, and there is a lifestyle that people already doing it. So if you provide something better for them that make their life easy to do this lifestyle, of course they will move there. That's why we're building a lot of dApps that address the Islamic financial transactions, talking about what we call it mudaraba, murabaha, musharaka, muqayada, zakat solutions, donation solutions, whatever you can imagine in the Muslim lifestyle. Tomorrow might be marketplace, might be e-commerce, might be, they will have one favorite destination to practice and do their transactions.
It's great that Haqq Network puts so much attention to the community as well. So let's talk more about communities. So do you feel that Web3 communities are different in the West and in the Middle East? So if so, how are you catering to those communities and fostering collaboration?
Okay. Oh. Do you want to take this one?
He is living in London. He can
yeah, so despite living in London, I think in the regionalities as well, one of the things which was very clear cut from us when we're building and nurturing our community is that we understand that borders are not a limitation, especially when it comes to the Muslim community. That comes from our Islamic ethics and philosophy of the Ummah, which is transnational. We're connected and bound by our belief system. But beyond that as well, we've had a great response from non-Muslims. So just as a caveat to that, when we talk about West and Middle East, I'd like to use the terms global North and global South, because global North is where we perceive a lot of the financial institutions in the latter half of the 21st or 20th century started to build and formalize, and that's where we get all of our financial institutions deriving from. However, when you look at the global South, this is a big project, the big discussion point for the past year and a half. I'm sure last year you must have discussed it here at Istanbul Blockchain Week, where people are talking about the unbanked. But they don't look beyond the limit. They think, okay, let's set up another way to access a wallet, or let's try and promote this to poor people in parts of Africa, not understanding that actually there is a limitation sometimes on how people can interact with that financial ecosystem itself. So for us, Islamic Coin, yes, we are conscious, and at Haqq Network, we are conscious that we have a global opportunity, but it's really important to capitalize on the potential that exists within, quote unquote, the global South or developing economies. If you look at Indonesia, which is one of the largest Muslim populations and one of the most significant populations in the world, you would also notice that they have a huge rate of technological innovation and a booming sector. You take places like Pakistan and India, which sit within South Asia alone, and then you combine that with Southeast Asia, and I haven't even touched upon the Middle East. For example, even when you're talking about usership within the Middle East, you take somewhere like Saudi Arabia, Twitch's biggest market when we're looking at gaming industry sits within Saudi Arabia for amount of transactions which are taking place within those economies. You then expand that then to the places of Africa. Some of our largest community sits within places like Nigeria, where DeFi and crypto is booming, and some of the greatest innovators are also sitting there. My point being is that we, especially I say this as a British citizen, we need to move out of this idea that the West is going to make mass adoption. It doesn't work like that. The unbanked need to be treated less as the unbanked, but rather the untapped potential, and that's the way that we see it. So from our side, and this is what we're doing from our marketing and community building, we are more dedicated for localized events, to supporting talent and nurturing those projects to come and deploy in Haqq Network with our 40 million grant scheme, which is open and available for those that want to come in and innovate as well on the space. And importantly, yes, there are distinctions between Western normalities and Eastern normalities and how the global South and North operate. But we live in a globalized world where information and accessibility is becoming easier and easier for people to read. And we have some of the most educated people that sit within those economies who are now representing us through our ambassadors program or our part and directly engaging and setting up community meetups. So for any project which is listening in, do not sleep on this idea that only the West is informed and enlightened, because you're missing out on a huge opportunity. And if you don't take it up, we're already doing it.
Yeah. And I would like to add that if you look now at the Middle East, and you mentioned about Middle East, look how it became very attractive now for all projects, all funds, all people who want to do something innovative, either in fintech side or Web3 or crypto. They're all coming. Look, it's what's happening in Dubai is really amazing. What's happening in Abu Dhabi and the UAE is really super nice. I'm talking about facts, not just like because I love UAE and Dubai and Abu Dhabi, no, not because of that, but we have really facts where, where I met with Andrey and we started this nice project. He was just in his speech saying, thanks for living in Dubai. I got to know Sharia principles and we started this amazing project. I mean, to have success and adoption to the community, you need everybody to put hands together. And that's what I'm seeing it happening in UAE. You see the tech developers, the investors, the merchants, the entrepreneurs, the policymakers, and more are putting hands together. And this all joint hands merged together to deliver something to the community. And when it is happening in one place, it is really a good sign for a great adoption, and that's what we are seeing it happening in on ground. And only coming days and coming months will tell you more about this. Lot of amazing and successful projects coming now from the Middle East, but that doesn't mean that nothing is happening in the West. Of course, a lot of great things is happening there, but what I want to mention here is that the growth curve is really going very fast in the Middle East area.
That's very good to hear that you said about when you collaborate with everyone, we have greater things ahead of us. So for my last question, what can you say to the Haqq Network community and anything that they should be excited about in the next few weeks?
I will say from my perspective, from perspective of on my personal focus, let's build ethical, but most importantly, things which are targeting real people needs, not just Web3 community. Everyone is building for Web3 community, and it's became very concurrent market. Muslim Web3 world is untapped. No one is there, almost no one. So you can become the first mover, and everyone will remember you, but most importantly, your project will succeed, and we, the Haqq Network, our organization, our Sharia workflow process, our marketing support will help you grow together with us.
Yeah, I want to say thanks to the community, to Haqq community and Islamic coin community. They've been supportive. They've been patient enough to wait. They're waiting all for the moment where the coin will be available in the exchanges and everything will start to be used. And we are very close to that. And just stay tuned. Coming few weeks is carrying a lot of good news and surprises. And of course, again, I want to thank the community. They are very amazing and supportive, and I'm sure we all together gonna build something phenomenal and adds a big value to the whole humanity.
Yeah, I'd say, echoing what everyone else has said, continue building, continue propagating this idea as well that blockchain can be compatible with ethics. And for us, from a CMO's perspective, I'd say that like one of the key things which I find really inspiring about our community is the way that they activate themselves, that they themselves are taking it upon them to translate articles and disseminate it within their own networks to share what we're trying to build at Haqq Network. From our side, we will constantly be committed to our community to listen to their feedback and give that directly to the developers and the builders, but also tell us what we should be doing better. We are ultimately serving the Haqq Network and the Islamic coin community. So as we are first movers in the space, I always say we're also first movers in terms of serving our community, and our doors are always open. So feel free to drop us a message, meet us at our events, and very soon we are obviously leading up to our TGE, and we are excited to share these milestones with you too.
That's incredible, and we're looking forward for the TGE. Thank you so much for having us here. I hope you enjoy your stay in Istanbul.
Thank you.